Welcome, everyone. Welcome to John C's Truth 33. You're watching UAP Truth 33. I got a good show for you today. It's a little creepy. And the thing is, in the beginning, I thought it was BS, total BS. I didn't think it was legit. But the more that I researched it, the stranger it got. Apparently, in this part of Alaska, there's been more people go missing in this area than any other place on the planet. We're talking like upwards of 20,000 people since the 90s just vanished. We're talking no bodies, no nothing, just gone. And I watched a movie years ago called The Fourth Kind, and it was about Nome, Alaska, and it was about alien abductions and people getting body snatched, man, by aliens. And so then and it's strange because that movie I can't even find it anymore. But there's also a lot of incidents with airplanes, and it's become known as the Alaskan Triangle. I believe an airplane with Hale Boggs. He was the House Majority Rep. He went missing in an airplane. And then just recently, this last airplane incident that was flying from Unalakleet to Nome didn't make it, and then they found all 10 passengers. They didn't survive. So I started looking into it, and it's pretty crazy. And this is what I found.
Interior is home to jagged mountains, dense forests, and icy rivers. Living here is not for the faint of heart. The little town of McGrath prides itself on its resiliency. But everyone knows there's something odd in the skies here. From UFOs to alien sightings, McGrath has long been a magnet for unusual activity. And there's one area outside of town that could explain it all.
Here we go.
My name is Donna, and I lived in McGrath about 16, 18 years. My elderly friend in McGrath, when we first moved there, her name was Margaret, and she knew that area quite well. And she used to talk about the land of no activity. She said that planes would lose their magnetic instruments on their airplane over that field. It's interesting that in remote Alaska, out of McGrath specifically, that there would be any area that when a plane flew over, there was no magnetic activity. There would be no reason for it to. It's strange. That could possibly be what they call the Black Pyramid.
For years, theories have swirled about a black pyramid built by aliens hiding in Alaska.
This Black Pyramid is supposed to be underground, and it was told to me that it was covered at one time back in the Ice Age.
Some think it's an old generator, long since abandoned. Others suspect that aliens still use it today to broadcast messages across the universe, maybe even with our own government's help.
There's something going on. The area is fenced off, and they have signs that says no trespassing, but there's no physical buildings around. Makes you wonder what's going on.
Of all the 50 states, Alaska leads the pack in alien activity, which is why the residents of McGrath have suspicions about a mysterious dead zone deep in the forest outside of town. Not only is the 200-acre patch completely barren, airplanes flying above it often have trouble with their navigation systems. Alien orbs have also been spotted hovering nearby. For decades, McGrath's residents have had more questions than answers. But now, the truth may finally be coming out.
So one of the passengers, Andrew Gonzalez, 30 years old, he was a passenger on that plane, and I came to find out that he worked as a power generator technician, and this is gonna you're gonna see the connection with this in a few moments. And then there was another woman, and Roan Baumgartner, and she was traveling to service some kind of heat recovery system. And then Caroline Mendiola, she was a U.S. Army vet. Now, I want to say before we go further that my prayers go out to them and their families. I feel very sorry for their loss. Um, and this is has nothing to do with anything other than just me just trying to search for truth about Alaska. Um, they used the Black Hawk helicopter to recover the aircraft. Military got involved in this. Thought that was a little strange. Also, I guess not. I mean, maybe it was in an area that was inaccessible, and we needed their help. So that's. But the thing with Alaska, right? So there's always been reports of like these energy vortexes, and when planes fly through certain areas of Alaska, their instruments will go wacky, compasses go wacky. There's been reports like whenever there was searches for missing people that when they were searching for them, the search parties, they reported that their compasses and stuff would go, be giving them false readings and stuff like this, and there was some kind of anomaly. Um, Near Mount Hayes or at Mount McKinley, near Denali. And the more I researched into this, the stranger it got. In 1950, 44 vanished in a military aircraft, and it's just I can keep going throughout. You know, um, in October 1972, an aircraft vanished. Hikers, locals, and tourists alike, they vanish. The rate of the amount of people that vanish in this area, 20,000. Um, it's more than double the national average. And then they just, when I say vanish, they don't find any remnants, like nothing. Um, and then I started researching more, and then I came across this strange report made to the FAA in 1986 by a Japanese Airlines flight 1628 encountered 3 UAP. Um, they said the one UAP was more than 10 times the size of the 747 he was in. Just a huge UAP. There's reports of UAP all around this area. It's a hot spot for UFOs, especially around like Mount Hayes and Mount McKinley. Um, and the pilot in this Japanese airliner thought that they were military aircraft at first, these UAP, and then he realized that as they were keeping pace with his craft, that they were also doing these erratic movements and emitting these bursts of light. And at that point, he knew that he was dealing with something, not of this world. And this was in 1986. And there's also a lot that goes along with that story. You can research that. One of the air traffic controllers, I believe, the men in suits came and confiscated everything, and he never turned over his copy of the radar because they picked these things up on the radar, and he ended up becoming like a a whistleblower, and he was with Stephen Greer for a while, and I think he actually testified at the 2001 Press Club disclosure event. So, I mean, these claims are verified by civilian and military radar, you know, leading to speculate that the thousands of strange disappearances that have occurred in Alaska Triangle could be attributed to extraterrestrials. Is that possible? It's a good question. And I've said before in these last couple of months that I think that, these drone incursions, these UAPs that we see, could these be related to the rash of plane incidents that's happened since the beginning of January? It's a good question. These things fly very close to aircraft. A lot of times you'll see footage of them. They'll just go whipping past a airplane, and it'll just be like this metal looking sphere just goes zipping past the plane and nearly clip the wing. A lot of times it's very close calls, and we've seen that repeatedly. So it makes me wonder, like, what is going on. And the more I researched about this Alaska anomaly, this triangle, this Alaskan triangle situation, the weirder and stranger it got. And then I started finding out that there's been whistleblowers, military whistleblowers, that have spoken of a underground black pyramid near Mount McKinley. And they said that this thing is it's 150 feet below the surface of, I guess, a mountain or somewhere in this area. Nobody really knows. And that it's 550 feet tall, and it's a black pyramid. And apparently, a man named Lee Pearson, he came out and said that he was actually worked there and saw this thing, and that it's some type of uh, ancient structure that has the ability to generate energy. And we're talking energy like enough to power the whole country of Canada. Now, if that's true, that's crazy. Um, Great. And the story gained attention when an Army intel officer claimed to have learned about the pyramid from a news report in 1992, which was later suppressed. So apparently, China did like a nuclear test, right? And when they did this test, somehow through radar or whatever, or some kind of like archaeological, I'm not sure, maybe like how they detected it, but when they did that test, they detected this structure underneath the ground in Alaska. I guess when China did this test, I don't know if it was an atmospherical nuke test or what, but they detected this structure under the ground in Alaska. So the news ran a story about it, and this intel guy caught news of this story, and he went to the news channel to try to follow up, figure out what this thing was. He was curious. Well, when he got there, the channel, you know, the employees were tight-lipped, told him the story, aired briefly, but was pulled after men in suits showed up and confiscated all the coverage and footage, and told them to never cover the story again, which is crazy. So, and the guy that went there to try to find this out, his name is Doug Malter, and you know, he was a counter intel officer at Fort Richardson near Anchorage, Alaska. You know, and he was looking at a map in a map room, and a curious detail on the Denali National Park map caught his eye. A small, unexplored area about 60 miles west of Mount McKinley. You know, and I guess it was late 1992 when Doug was watching the news segment, and it was an underground nuclear detonation. So I guess, since China detonated this nuke underground, you know, I guess the shockwave of it or something, you know, enabled us to see some type of image of a massive pyramid under the ground in Alaska. And Doug recognized the location as the same unexplored area from the maps that he saw years previously. Doug Malter. So in 1993, Doug got transferred to Fort Meade, Maryland, That's home to the NSA. He's an intel officer, so he went to investigate, seeking info. He inquired about archaeology sites in Alaska at a huge archive. And while he was there, this was squashed by men in black. They followed him. Like I guess they must have been following him. So he goes in to try to get this I can't even speak the English language. Archaeology archive. And these two dudes and dressed in black come up and they're like, yeah. You're not looking into this. And he's like, what are you talking? What do you mean? He's like, listen, they don't want nothing to do with us. Leave them alone. They don't want nothing to do with it. So when they said that to Doug, he was thinking like, who is they? What are you? And when they realized that he didn't know what they were talking about, like they assumed that he knew something that he didn't know. So when they said that to him, he's thinking, who's they, dude? You know what I'm saying? What do you mean they? They don't want nothing to do with us. They don't want us bothering. What? So then he was really like, that got him going. You know what I mean? So then he got in touch with Linda Moulton Howe, and famous for writing a book about cattle mutilation. Linda Moulton Howe did in the '70s. She's like a legend in the UFO community, man. Like Linda Moulton Howe, man. She was always on coast to coast. Um, just crazy. And there was another guy named Marty Johnson. He's a World War II vet, and he also, you know, had an encounter with this pyramid mystery. He was whisked away to a secret location in Alaska where he was sent to a colossal underground pyramid that generated energy. And he whistle blew for Linda Moulton Howe, and you could see that interview with her. That's definitely available. And then there was a guy, Lee Pearson, 1978. He flew to a base east of Denali. Upon arrival, the electronics in the aircraft and everything was malfunctioning. When they landed, these dudes come out with all these guns pointing at them, and the pilot like looked at him like, "It's okay. This is how it goes." Just trying to reassure him. And he was just thinking like, "What in the hell are they doing here?" And so he told his son Bruce, and years later, Bruce, using Google Earth, he identified a squared off plot in that area of Alaska, and there was like a road leading to it that wasn't on any map, but you could see it from Google Earth, and there was a landing strip, and so he figured that's the place. It was consistent with all the tales. You know what I mean, of this secretive base, and in various accounts of whistleblowers, some of them remote viewers. Pat Price, one of the best remote viewers ever. He remote viewed a pyramid underground being run by aliens and humans. That there is humans there. This remote viewer claims that he remote viewed this place, that it's legit, that it's there, and that it's not only run by aliens, but it's run by humans also. So what does all this mean? Um, and the things that I've watched is just crazy. I mean, just look, check this out. I'll be right back.
May 7th, 2020, 41-year-old Nathan Campbell set off on a solo journey that would soon captivate conspiracy theorists and adventurers alike. Chartering a flight from Talkeetna, he headed deep into Denali National Forest bound for Carey Lake, a remote and desolate area surrounded by miles of uninhabited wilderness. Nathan sought the legendary Black Pyramid, a mysterious underground structure rumored to be hidden beneath the Alaskan wilderness. Conspiracy theories claim this pyramid is 4 times the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, with the power to manipulate electromagnetic fields, a secret so guarded it's allegedly been erased from satellite images. He planned to spend 4 months exploring the dense thickets and bogs around Carey Lake, but by mid-June, all communication from Nathan abruptly stopped. When he missed his scheduled pickup in September, alarm bells rang. A search party found the remnants of his camp, and a journal with a final entry, "Went to get water." Beyond that, Nathan Campbell had...
So that's crazy. That's what do you guys think? I mean, so Nathan Campbell, he this guy. So Nathan Campbell, he gets he gets supplies and stuff, and he's used to being out in the wilderness and stuff. He's no So he gets dropped off near where he believes that the pyramid is, and he's going to go find this location. So he decides he's going to take enough supplies for 4 months, which is a long time, man. 4 months in Alaska. So he gets his supplies. He goes, and he had a satellite phone, so he could get in touch with his family and check in. And he disappeared. And he was keeping a diary, and the last entry in the diary was going to get water. And he was never heard from again, never seen again. No body was ever found, just supplies. Another mystery to the Alaskan Triangle, the Black Pyramid, that whole situation up there. Um, it's a creepy story. It really is. I mean, it's just it's an oddity. It's a wild, creepy story, and I tend to think I believe it. You know, Bruce would speak about his father, and like he would get a light bill in the mail, and he remembers his father saying, "Man, if only the truth came out, we wouldn't be paying for electric ever again." And Bruce always thought that was strange, that his father would say these things. And apparently, and we've heard this from Stephen Greer, we've heard this from other whistleblowers, that that there's free energy and there's technology that could make our lives a hell of a lot easier and could totally change the whole economic system of this country and the world. Like, we have the ability to change the world through this disclosure. And it's not just me saying this. It's not just conspiracy theorists saying this. We have people, politicians, people in the know who are saying the same exact thing. I just ran a preview for that documentary that's coming out, you know, The Age of Disclosure. And in that preview, you hear these higher up government officials saying these things, that there's technology, free energy. Well, why the hell haven't we gotten it? I mean, why hasn't that been released? Why is that classified? It's a question that we have to answer. Now, what is this Alaskan Triangle stuff? What is going on in Alaska? There's two places on the earth that I really look at. And I say, man, it's weird. It's a strange, weird place, and that's Alaska and Antarctica. I think Antarctica has some secrets, and I think Alaska has some secrets. Not to mention the ocean, but I'm talking land. Alaska, Antarctica. And I'm sure there's probably places in Russia, probably Siberia, anywhere where there's not a big presence of humans, where you have these huge, large areas, of untouched nature where we don't even go. I'm sure there's secrets being in those places. Maybe deep in the jungle, in the Amazon. I've seen lidar images of pyramids in the Amazon that's hidden by the jungle, and they're huge. And there's whole structures down there. There was like there used to be cities all through that place down in the jungle, and they mapped it with lidar, because they could see through all that. Very interesting. So these places, they exist, and it's funny how people just, you know, it's like I used to think that if disclosure happened, if these truths came out, people would be like, "Oh, whoa," and it would freak everybody out. There'd be this huge revolutionary changes, and it appears that people just are so distracted by their day to day life that they don't even pay attention. A lot of people do not pay attention. I mean, unless you have an interest in this subject or gain an interest in this subject, um, a lot of people, and it's kind of scary to me. It's almost like people are asleep at the wheel, like on autopilot, just going through life. Worried about these trivial things that don't really seem to matter in the grand big picture idea is a thing, and but maybe it's me. You know, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just focused on a fantastical idea, but I don't think that's true. I think I think I'm on to something, and I think we're gonna find out real soon. You know, I really do. But we're gonna get to the bottom of this Alaskan triangle thing if it's the last thing I do. I'm gonna keep on researching it. I recommend everybody, to just go ahead and look it up, man. It's called the Black Pyramid, or the Dark Pyramid. Linda Moulton Howe's done wonderful coverage on it, and the Alaskan Triangle. And trust me, you'll get spooked. Like if this episode I just did here didn't spook you a little bit, you research that, you're gonna start wondering what is going on. So they think things either ancient technology or extraterrestrial. Um, they don't even know what it's made out of. The people that have been there have been kind of, say it's some kind of black stone, maybe like some type of black basalt, volcanic type rock, which is like the hardest basalt there is. Um, that the angles of the structure are real steep, you know. And Bruce Pearson said his dad Lee made like a model of the pyramid out of some type of metal, and that this model was generating electricity. Somehow he had figured out something with this, but he wasn't going to release it, or for fear of his life. And if you look back, like in the past, people that have come out with ways to, the one guy, like he figured out how to separate hydrogen and oxygen from water, because water's H2O. So he figured out a way to separate the hydrogen and the oxygen and run a car on water, because hydrogen's flammable and so is oxygen. Oxygen, hydrogen, they're both very combustible. Uh, but when they're together as water, it's weird. They put out fire. But so he figured out how to run cars on it, right? He was doing demonstrations of what he mysteriously died. And then there was a guy, I think in Buffalo, same thing. It's insane. Stephen Greer's movie, The Lost Century. You can check that out, man. And it goes into these things. Um, really makes you wonder about the reality we live in, and what it is that the powers that be know that they don't want us to know for whatever reason. Like what's the embargo on truth about? You know what I mean? Why is truth classified? You know what I mean? Like look, if it's truth, why is it classified? Good question. It's one of the reasons my channel's named what it is, and I go by the handle that I go by, because I that's what I'm interested in, truth, man. I want to get to the truth of what's going on here. I want to know the reality of the situation, whatever that is, whether it's good, bad, horrifying, or mind expandingly, joyously great. I want to know, and I think we all have a right. So that's why I do what I do. And sometimes, man, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. And they got me with the NASA. They said I was researching some things, and I came across this, and it was on like a news. They tricked me. I thought I was on like a news site, and they said this was a NASA declassified video. So I uploaded it. I was all excited, and then boom, I come to find out, man, it was bogus. It was CGI. So I had to go back, apologize to everybody. I didn't pull down the video because what's the difference? But they got me, and they're going to get me again, because this is what they do. They have disinformation agents out there that are just, this is what they do, and they're very good because they'll use a kernel of truth, and then it just back it up, and then they just put a bunch of lies in with it. And once you swallow it, I'm like this. We can sift through all that. Okay, we can sift through it, and together we can work through this and get to the truth. And that's what I'm doing. Jake Barber, Fred Baker, all that. David Grush, Lou Elizondo, Stephen Greer. Who's right? Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Jason Sands. You know how I feel about Jason Sands. He is a disinformation agent. Don't believe nothing that dude says. But he's really the only one that really jumps out at me as being somebody that's trying to poison the well. You know, I really can't find too much fault with the rest of them, other than the fact I'm kind of leery about this uh, alien threat that's supposedly supposed to be getting pushed to try to get us to accept a one world, um, police state. Basically, where our freedoms are stripped and we're terrified of aliens. We let them weaponize space, and basically what they did with September of 2001. You know, with the Patriot Act, started going to war with all these countries and destabilizing the whole Middle East, that whole situation. And we're not going to get into that. So I try to stay away from politics of these things. I just want to know the truth about non-human intelligence, higher beings interacting with humanity, kind of like Carl Nell said. They're here, they're interacting with humanity. They've been here for a very long time. It's ongoing. And then you find out about psionic teams and stuff. So the whole thing's interesting. And that's just like a brief summary of what I try to do here on this channel. But this Black Pyramid story is, it's wild and it's developing. So we're gonna keep at it. Thanks for watching. Hey, this is John C. Truth. I love you guys. To all my new subscribers, thank you. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subscribers. I appreciate it. All the support. You can check me out on Patreon. Sometimes I upload videos there that are exclusive, unreleased. Sometimes like behind the scene footage. There's free videos, and then there's videos you can pay like $3 to see. It helps my channel out, helps me out, helps me expand. The bigger and better this gets, the more of an opportunity I have to interview people who are in this space. Maybe get like a big name like Linda Moulton Howe or Stephen Greer on here. I think that would be awesome. Even collaborating with other podcasts. But the thing is, I got to gain a little bit bigger following. Close to 600 followers, man. I love it. Thank you guys. Very grateful. Stick with me. It's only going to get better. Thank you. And until tomorrow.